we're just going to keep going. We have a little bit of extra time. We would normally sort of break for a promo, but it seems worth reminding people, first of all, the bus lanes downtown are now available to just you and I and anyone else who might be in a car and making the drive. Not on the 417, not on the 174.
That's right. Chad Boston's been out and around over Bayswater and Gladstone area. He's back now, and the fact is back. And what they've both been telling me is the traffic is actually quite light. And people who were around 12 years ago have said this too, that when there's a school bus cancellation combined with a public transit cancellation, lots of people just throw in the towel. They stay home, and consequently, downtown streets apparently light, and traffic on the sidewalk too. Not a lot of people out and around this morning.
Okay, so we'll try and keep you up to date and ease your way into wherever you might be heading. You are listening to Ottawa Morning on CBC Radio 1 in Ottawa.
This is CBC News. Good morning, I'm Judy Madron. This is World Report. In the news today, a bailout appears close for U.S. car makers as Canadian auto workers call for help.
Every single one, from France to Australia to Japan, are investing in the auto industry today because of the global financial crisis.
Electronic stun guns get a second look from many police agencies, and suggestions that 2 diabetes drugs may put women at risk for bone fractures. The White House and congressional Democrats have a tentative agreement to rescue U.S. automakers. However, the $15 billion deal still has to face skeptical Republicans in the Senate. In return for the loans, the car makers would have to answer to a presidentially appointed trustee and make the government their biggest shareholder. The auto sector in this country is calling for help. As the CBC's Neil Herland reports, there are fears that without a Canadian bailout, even more plants could close.
Jennifer Gayvard has a nightmare that Chrysler will leave Windsor, Ontario, and her city will be devastated.
We're going to lose all kinds of jobs. All the feeder plants are going to be closed. Our economy is going to suck worse than it does now.
And she's not alone. The Canadian Auto Workers is pushing for a Canadian bailout plan. CAW President Ken Luenza says everyone else is doing it.
Every single one, from France to Australia to Japan, are investing in the auto industry today because of the global financial crisis.
Prime Minister Stephen Harper says he's considering proposals from the Big Three, but in an interview with the CBC's Peter Mansbridge, Harper says the government won't be writing blank checks.
We want to make sure that that industry and industries across the country not only preserve jobs for today, but that we take action to make sure that jobs will be secure going forward into the future.
Dennis DeRosier is a consultant to Canada's auto industry. He says Ottawa's response will largely be determined by Washington.
It's very clear when listening to the congressman that they want all of it spent in the United States, and that potentially is negative for Canada, and one of the core reasons why Canada has to play.
Still, DeRosier says Canada needs to attach strings to a potential bailout to protect taxpayers in this country. Neil Herland, CBC News, Toronto.
Michael Ignatieff will become interim leader of the Liberal Party later today when the caucus meets in Ottawa. Next May, Ignatieff will be acclaimed as permanent leader at the convention in Vancouver. Yesterday, his last opponent, Bob Rae, dropped out of the race. There are more signs. Canadian police are taking a second look at electronic stun guns. All law enforcement agencies in BC are pulling some of their stun guns from service. The recall applies to devices made by Taser International before 2006 and includes those used by the RCMP. The Ottawa Police Department was one of the first forces in Ontario to adopt the weapon in 2000, but as Evan Dyer reports, Ottawa police are pulling some tasers from service and shelving plans to distribute the weapon more widely.
Yeah, I'll hold them just to make sure. Are you guys good to go?
A year ago, Staff Sergeant Mike Maloney took a shot from a taser right in the back to show his faith in the weapon's safety. He says he still believes in the taser today, but he says Ottawa police are taking note of a CBC investigation showing that some tasers manufactured before 2005 produce a much stronger current than the maker specified.
There are 9 that we have in operation that are
2004. So those are going to be removed. They're going to be taken away from operational use, and they'll be replaced with models that are 2006 and later.
Maloney says Ottawa police have also decided to test the current produced by all their tasers, regardless of model year. 2 years ago, Ottawa police were talking about one day equipping all frontline officers with the device. But Ottawa's Chief Vern White says he's cool to the idea, especially after talking to RCMP Complaints Commissioner Paul Kennedy.
I don't believe I'd like to see every officer have one. I think there needs to be a bit of a check and balance. I understand some of the concerns about having to have a level of experience on the street and a level of knowledge with incidents. So I do understand that having them with everyone is too much.
Tasers are currently limited to tactical team members and frontline supervisors. Chief White says he still believes the taser saves lives and would like to get more, but a few dozen, not 1,000. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
It's a rough day for commuters in Ottawa. Transit operators, dispatchers, and maintenance workers are on strike, and that's canceled all bus and train service as the city suffers through heavy snowfalls. The mayor is urging residents to be patient. Road traffic is expected to increase by about 20%. New research suggests 2 drugs commonly used in Canada to treat type 2 diabetes may increase some women's risk for bone fractures. The analysis is published in the Canadian Medical Association Journal today. It reviewed 10 trials involving more than 13,000 patients. Researchers say the drugs should still be prescribed in this country, but they're warning patients to carefully weigh the risks and the benefits. Mark Quinn reports.
Actos and Avandia are used to control blood sugar levels in people with type 2 diabetes. They're effective and they're popular. Last year, they were prescribed more than 1.5 million times in Canada. But now, there's growing evidence that they may harm some women who use them. Past research showed that Avandia can increase a woman's risk for heart disease. This latest paper found these drugs may increase a woman's risk for bone breaks. Dr. Sonal Singh is one of its authors.
I think it's going to be an individual, risk-benefit assessment for each patient. But overall, it appears that the risks, at least in general terms, outweigh the benefits.
According to the CMAJ paper, long-term use of these drugs doubles the risk of fractures among women with type 2 diabetes. The same risks weren't found for men who use these drugs. Endocrinologist Dr. Lorraine Lipscomb says doctors should try other drugs with fewer side effects first. But she says Actos and Avandia shouldn't be discarded altogether.
These drugs may still be useful in patients who are failing or cannot take other drugs.
Singh agrees. He warns that people who are using these drugs now should speak with their physician before making a decision to stop taking them. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
The final report will be released today from an inquiry into flawed cancer reports in New Brunswick. The public inquiry began after complaints were made about a pathologist at the Miramichi Regional Hospital. Stephen Puddicombe reports the complaints related to incomplete diagnoses and delayed lab results.
In 1995, when Dr. Raj Menon was hired, Miramichi must have felt lucky. Pathologists were in high demand. In 2006, questions about Menon's work started to pop up that led to an independent audit. That focused on cases of Menon's work, which